distance can be a major barrier to accessing quality healthcare on time. That's where Angel Flight East comes in. Welcome to Takeoff Talk with Angel Flight East, a nonprofit dedicated to providing free flights for children and adults who need medical treatment far from home. We don't know how many people forego medical care because they don't have accessible transportation, and that's what this podcast is here to change. Join passionate AFE staff members Jess Ames and Maddy Beck as they share real-life stories from people who have used AFE services to get the care they need when they need it.
Welcome back to another episode of Takeoff Talk. Today we have volunteer pilot Michael Friedlander with us.
Hi, how are you? Pleasure to be with you this afternoon.
So, Michael, we just wanted to start out with you telling our listeners how long you have been flying with Angel Flight East.
So I actually first started out with Angel Flight East back in 1995 when I lived on the East Coast in the 90s. And I flew for a couple of years, moved out of the country, and then moved back in 2021 and then got re-involved with Angel Flight East in 2022.
Wow, you were one of our first pilots, I think, then.
I was involved in the early days, yes.
That's insane. What was flight coordination like back in 1993? Did they just call you?
It wasn't even that sophisticated. I'm trying to remember now. There was a website that you could go to. Yeah, there was a website that you could check on. There was no such thing as emails. You would go and check on the website and see if there was a mission available, and you'd sign up for it on the website, and then you'd periodically check the website to see if everything connected, and then you got a phone call from the coordinator saying, looks like things are a go.
That is so cool. I had no idea you flew that long.
Yeah. And I just want to make a comment for our younger listeners that back in the 1990s, they weren't able to get that phone call while on the website simultaneously.
Exactly. There was no such thing as text messages. There was no such thing as WhatsApp or any of those applications, right? It was all very manual.
Yeah. Wow.
That's so cool. How did you hear about Angel Flight in the 90s?
So at the airport I flew out of, there was I literally remember sitting in the FBO, and somebody had posted up on the corkboard a flyer for Angel Flight, and I thought it was one of the coolest things that I had ever seen.
We still think we're pretty cool.
I think so too.
Yeah, we may be a little biased, but we say that. So why do you volunteer your time and plane for Angel Flight East?
So look, at the end of the day, I've been very blessed in my life. And at the end of the day, it's about giving back. It's about service to others and just being there when people need you the most. So that's why I do it.
That's awesome. So can you tell us a bit about one of your favorite flights?
Yeah, I think it was in October of last year, had an opportunity. There was a little girl. I think she was a toddler, 2 years old, not even 3 years old. The poor thing she had some type of a brain tumor, and she had been to any number of different research hospitals in the area. And she had it wasn't her, I think it was an extended family that was based up near where I live in northern New Jersey. And she had gone down to around Washington, D.C. to have some further evaluation done, and she needed a flight back up here to her extended family. And she had been down there. It wasn't necessarily looking particularly good for her. But anyhow, I flew down. I picked them up. I got to know the family a little bit, and we were flying home. And in the face of I get choked up when my dog's got to go to the vet. I can't even imagine having to deal with this. And anyhow, in the face of all this with their little girl, the family was just the most loving, the most spirited, some of the most spirited people I've ever met. I really got to know them and love them. And we spent an hour and a half flying back from south of Washington, D.C. area back up here. And Yeah, it was just very meaningful. The little girl had nothing but a smile on her face the whole trip. I actually have pictures of her, sitting in the back of my plane with the little headsets on and everything, and it was just an incredible experience.
Was that passenger Sarah?
That was Sarah. Yep.
Yes, we totally agree with what you're saying about the family. We actually had to buy them commercial tickets at one point because the weather wasn't working out.
Yeah,
and
I
they
remember.
ended up missing their flight. And they're like, well, it's okay. We just expected this to happen based on everything with Sarah. And they were just always so positive. And
so positive and just so loving.
Even imagine what they were going through.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And they actually had called me because of all the problems that they were having. And they actually had reached out to me because of the weather. There's a lot of ice. I have de-icing on my plane, but I'm not FICI qualified, so I couldn't take them. But yeah, it was a tough series of events for them.
Yeah, and she was just always such a happy little girl. You would never know what treatment she was going through because she was always just smiling.
Yeah, exactly.
So would you say she was a passenger that has had the biggest impact on your time with Angel Flight East?
No question. Yep.
I don't blame you. She's one of my biggest impacts too. I have a niece that's the same exact age as her. And so every time I heard something new about her story, I was like just heartbroken every time, but just so excited that we could help that family.
Yep, absolutely.
Do you fly for any other angel flight organizations or public benefit flying organizations if it's a dog or?
Yeah, I actually fly. Sadly, what happens with Angel Flight, because of my work schedule, it's a bit complicated for me because most of the flights, because people are traveling for procedures, so they fly during the week. And I have an agreement with my partners that, I try to manage the amount of time I take off during the week. So Angel Flight is a little bit more difficult for me to fly during the week, but I fly for Pilots and Paws on the weekend. And
we love them.
Yeah, they're great people. So I actually do a lot of pilot and pause flying. And then I also am a volunteer for the Veterans Airlift Command. I don't know if you've ever crossed them or if you've heard them. So yeah.
Is that
amazing.
Royce Repka?
Say again?
Is that Royce?
I think the coordinator's name is Denise. I could get that wrong.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure because I thought that it was I don't remember actually now. I might just be talking in circles.
He did something with veterans. I forget
Royce
what the
Repka,
name is.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was him. It's like a guy with a 310 who just doesn't look away from veteran families.
Got it.
So that's why.
Could be. Yeah.
But all our names sound familiar, so it gets me confused.
I need to know, when you fly for Pilots and Paws, how do you not take all the puppies home with you? I would just keep them.
We have thought about that. My wife and I. Yeah, we picked up 3 little lab puppies it was last summer, I think it was, down in North Carolina, and brought them home. And my wife was, can't you just come home with them and tell them you lost them along the way?
Yeah.
Oh, no, what puppy?
Yeah, they're stuck at the airport.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what made you want to become a pilot?
It's something that I've always wanted to do, even back when I was a kid. I grew up in a household with fairly modest means. So I never really had the opportunity when I was young. And, again, over the years, I've been very blessed. And so the minute I had the opportunity, here I am.
So now what do you do for your real job? So you can afford your fun job.
Yeah. So I work, I'm a partner at a hedge fund in New York City.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wow. Do you travel to New York City every day then from New Jersey?
Every day.
Ooh, yeah. How is the traffic? Or do you take the train?
So yeah, I'm a public transportation commuter. So I take the bus in from the city into Port Authority, and then I take the train from Port Authority down to my office.
Oh, that's awesome.
I should mention, I forgot it as well. I don't consider it public benefit flying, but of course it is. I'm also a pilot with the Civil Air Patrol as well.
Oh, wow.
Oh, they come to Wings and Wheels. They actually just registered their plane.
Oh, did they?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. Yeah.
Well, hopefully you can get in on it and we'll see you there.
Yep. Absolutely.
What's your favorite place to fly to?
So my wife and I are building a house down in South Florida. So, we fly from here down to South Florida. I wouldn't say all the time, but, frequently. In fact, I'll be flying down tomorrow and coming back on Sunday.
Oh, wow. If you ever have an open seat, we need a flight to Florida.
But we only need a flight there, not a flight back.
Yeah.
Got it.
You can leave us there.
I understand. No worries.
If you could say anything about being a volunteer pilot, what would it be?
It will change your life. It's something that you may not have ever thought about or considered. But, look, pilots, just for proficiency reasons, will think nothing of spending $250 or $300 flying, to go get what we used to call proverbially the $100 hamburger, right? You think nothing of going up and spending, an hour and a half just flying circuits in the pattern, doing touch and goes, or going up and flying practice approaches to keep your instrument proficiency, right? And there's the mindset that if you're a pilot, that's just what you do, right? That's just the cost of doing business. But imagine if you could take what you were otherwise going to spend in terms of time and resources to do that and do it for the public good. Like there's no better, the return on that investment is priceless. And it's particularly for an organization like Angel Flight, that is a way that pilots can touch the future by making an impact in people's lives. And you're already doing it anyways. You're already flying to get $100 hamburger. You're already flying to practice approaches. You're already flying to keep your proficiency up. So do it for somebody else's good.
That's such a good way to put it, because I feel like a lot of people almost think our organization is too good to be true. Like there are people out there that will use their planes to get me where I need to go and they'll never charge me. So we always just try to get that point apart that pilots love to fly, and this is what's
you don't have
their
to
passion.
Give them a reason to go fly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like even when I first started with the organization, I was a new college graduate and I was like, they want to spend hundreds, if not thousands on this. And until I probably was here for maybe 6 months, I was like, oh, I get it now. Once I started to get to know our pilots and know that everything is just what they can do to give back and still encourage their hobby. Now, every time I talk to somebody about it, I'm like, if you can get the same benefit from golfing, you would.
Yep. No, absolutely. So, yeah. It's funny, when I got involved with the pilots and pause, I asked them the same question. I said, wow, it seems like, you could pay $250 to put a little dog on a continental flight from point A to point B. Like, isn't that easier to do? And they said, yeah, it's easier to do, but it's infinite. I can get a pilot who will fly himself 1,000 times easier than I can go scare up $250 to put a plane on, to put a dog or a cat on a plane. So that's why they do it. And it just makes perfect sense, right? Because again, you don't have to give pilots a reason to go fly.
Yeah. Even during COVID, when we had to shut down, I feel like some people were asking us when we were flying the personal protective equipment, like, oh, why don't you just ship it? And we had pilots lining up saying, I need to get out of the house and I want to go flying. So they were going there anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the exact thought process I just had, Jess. So now, what is one final thought that you would leave with our listeners?
I would say this, that, again, as pilots, we've been given a blessing, and we all do it for our own reasons. Everybody should give back. And whether you give back by, just telling giving a nice hello in the morning to people, or it's sharing a smile, or whether it's feeding the homeless, or, there's a million ways of giving back. As pilots, we share this common bond. And to the extent that we can use this to better humanity, what higher calling is there?
That's awesome.
Michael, I'm going to cry. You are very well spoken and put it perfectly, better than any of us could.
Well, thank you. It was my pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your story. We really appreciate all you do for Angel Flight East.
And my pleasure is a pleasure to be with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We will definitely keep you updated, especially now that we know the weekend flights are better for you.
They are.
And that you have a house in Florida.
And we do.
We have a double whammy that we're learning here.
You got it.
All right. Thank you so much, Michael. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, my pleasure. Take care.
You
Bye.
too.
Bye now.
I only knew he flew little Sarah, which sounds like such a heartbreaking story. I don't even know how he told it without crying.
I know. Her story gets me every time. For those listeners who don't know exactly about all types of flights that we do help patients of all ages. And Sarah she was actually 2. She was newly 2. And unfortunately, Sarah has since lost her cancer or her battle with her brain tumor. So unfortunately, she has passed, but we are so proud to say that we were a part of her journey. She was awesome. Her family is still awesome. They are super engaged, and can't say enough good things about them.
I know. I can't wait to send this to them and be like, hello.
Hello, we still think about you.
Yeah. We still talk about you and Sarah.
Yeah, we love you. Bye. Please don't think we're creepy.
Wow. Well, I love doing this because I feel like it just puts the good people back into the world, and especially watching the news and everything with these Canadian wildfires. There are some good in the world still.
I know. I thought about asking him what the wildfire smog was like up by him, but
oh God, the pictures were insane. I don't even know how people were taking them or being outside.
I don't know. When I left the gym last night, they were literally handing out masks, and we are a lot south of anywhere. So I can only imagine. I'm very grateful that we are not in Canada.
I will say this one thing, and everybody can make fun of me for it. But the other day, I had all my windows and doors open because I only thought it was because my neighbors were having a bonfire, and I love the smell of a bonfire. And then I was like, wow, it's really smoky out here. And then I realized what was happening.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Somebody had told me the other day, they're like, yeah, I heard this is like happening because of wildfires, but there's no trees around here. And I was like, buddy, it's not near here. It's in Canada. And he was like, that's really far. I was like, okay, I gotta go.
You know, we're pretty smart most times. Sometimes we just have some hiccups in life.
A lot of hiccups. It's a lot of hiccups.
Some of us have more than others.
And our favorite part is, and this is a trade secret, we are both bottle blondes.
We are. I used to be a brunette, though, and it was bad. My dad said I was ugly, and I had to dye my hair back to blonde.
Remember during COVID when you wouldn't let me dye your hair for you?
Yeah, because I've seen things that you've done, and I was nervous.
For those wondering, Jess trusts me to make literally everything else. Crafting is kind of my thing. I don't know why hair dye would be any different.
She does make some great cricket shirts. If anybody needs a t-shirt, call her. She'll do it for free.
Yeah, usually. Because I get bored sometimes, so I just need a hobby.
Or just buy her a case of White Claw. Either works.
This is also true. Just don't give me the one with the grapefruit in it, because that's gross. And that's how I would know you don't care about me.
I'm over you. I think it's happy hour time. I gotta go.
All right, friends. Well, this has been another week of Takeoff Talk. We hope to see you at happy hour, but more importantly, we hope to see you back here next week for our next episode.
See ya. Thanks for listening.
That's it for today's episode of Takeoff Talk with Angel Flight East. If you want to learn more about our services, please visit our website at www.angelflighteast.org or call our office at 215-358-1900. Join us in our mission. If you're a healthcare worker or a patient in need of air travel and flight services, AFE is here for you. Subscribe to the show so you can hear more stories. Join us again next week right here on Takeoff Talk.